Hello, it's Ruby, and today I have got a very exciting video to share with you because today's video is in collaboration with the amazing Jade, and we are basically going to be having a study session over video chat. So today's video is very kindly sponsored by Lark, and we are going to be using Lark to video chat today. We'll tell you more about the features of Lark later on in the video, but for now I'm going to get onto my computer and Lark Jade. And I'm so excited to talk with her because even though we caught up recently in a video we filmed on Jade's channel, I miss Jade a lot and it's so great to be able to catch up. So first of all, I went onto Lark and I just scheduled a study session video chat for us in the calendar. And also because we were going to be analysing a poem, I pasted the poem into a Lark document and shared it with Jade. Then I just sent Jade a message on the messenger tool and we got onto video chatting. Jade! How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Long time no see.
Yeah, been ages. If you didn't know, we basically caught up and did a big catch up on Jade's channel. We filmed that yesterday where we had to see how well we knew each other.
And we literally filmed for like 4 hours.
Like, not even, like 4.5 hours in total.
You'll have to see what the verdict is.
Yeah, today we're not gonna have such a, well, it's still gonna be fun, but it's like gonna be productive, and we're also going to analyse a poem together.
I'm so excited. I haven't like just sat and analysed a poem for fun in a while.
So we've chosen a poem. Wait, I'll get it up on Lark on the docs. So Jade and I didn't realise this at the time because we were new Larkers, but there is actually a magic share feature whereby you can split your screen, so half of it shows the person you're talking to and the other half shows the document. Yeah, so the poem is The Current Isolationism by Camille Rankine, and we thought it was just quite relevant to what's happening at the moment, even though it's not like strictly about social isolation.
Yeah, so if you guys are also looking to improve your poetry ability, we're just gonna sit for like 5 minutes and just like privately analyse it. Like
write down some notes and see if like what we think was the same to what you thought, or if we have the same ideas. Yeah, I think the really great thing about poetry is that everyone does read it so differently.
Yeah, I think like if you guys are coming into this thinking like, oh, I'm really bad at poetry, you literally can't be bad at poetry.
No, it's impossible.
Yeah, there's this whole debate as to like who defines meaning in poetry.
Yeah.
Like, is it the writer or is it the reader? Because every single person will interpret things so differently.
And they'll bring their own reading to everything. So like, depending on your experiences with the idea of light or shadows or modern man, like all these concepts that you see in the poem, that will completely alter the way that you read it. And that doesn't make your reading any less valid. It just means that you can bring something new and original to the poem, which is just such a kind of, I think it's a more constructive way of looking at literature, instead of just thinking, I didn't get the right end of the stick, I didn't read it in the same way as someone else. That's the beauty of it.
And I think that's something that school has almost trained us to do, is to like equate our ideas to grades. When in reality, poetry is just like fun. Don't think about it as like, oh, how can I get the best grade in this little video with Ruby and Jade? It's just,
yeah, exactly. It's literally just reading it for the fun of it and enjoying it and walking away with a new like perspective on something. Okay, so with that said, Okay, should we check in?
Let's check in. I'm also really intrigued. What is your process? When you look at an unseen poem, what are you trying to look at first? What are you trying to get from it first? Like, what goes through your mind?
I would say that the first time I read it without looking for anything, absorb the feeling of the poem, like the emotion and the mood of it. I think sometimes it's easy to read it but be really focused on what it means, and then as a consequence actually miss out on the mood. And if you don't know the mood of the poem, it
informs the meaning too.
Exactly, because like you could have a satirical poem and then you might not realise it's satirical if you don't appreciate that mood first, and then I will go on to think about like concrete meaning, what's it kind of actually saying, and then focus on specific details as to like how that's achieved. How about you?
Honestly, pretty much the same. Yeah, like the first time I read it, I'm just like trying to appreciate the poem. Yeah. What does it make me think? What does it make me feel? Also, once I finish reading it, like what do I remember from it? Either a feeling or like sometimes a certain word. Yeah, like a certain word, you realise that once you've read it in its entirety, has like stuck with you.
Really significant. Like the dog's chained in this. Did you find that with like the image of the dog's chained?
Yes, that was so memorable, but also the stain on my mind were two things that...
Yeah, interesting.
I remembered a lot.
Do you know, I find it funny that you say about the stain on the mind, because that's not a detail that stuck out to me.
It didn't stick out to you? Interesting.
What did you think it was about? Like...
Okay,
maybe mood. Should we start with mood? Because then we kind of go through the process.
Okay, sure. So I think, like, at the start, it felt almost cozy. Not like, in being alone, I didn't feel like it was a negative necessarily. It was like, she said, like, I'm most at home. Like, the half light was almost made into something, like, desirable. The shadow is, like, her company. Yeah. But very quickly, as it went on, I kind of felt this like chaos, this fear, this anxiety related to like being alone. Yeah. So I think there was definitely like kind of a noticeable shift as it went on, and also how it ended more with like the nature imagery. Yeah. I know it felt like kind of intense, like the honeybees are like swarming, the dogs are chained.
I agree. I think there was definitely a progressive sense of like almost mania, but at the same time, from the very beginning, I definitely think there was something sinister. In the half light, I am most at home, my shadow is company. I think just the form of that first stanza, it's so disjointed. When I read it, I couldn't feel a sense of comfort in the home that she was describing, because most line break at home, you know, her home is separated, and then the shadow is equated to her home, I think, through that like my home, my shadow. They're like like parallel on the page.
It's also like they didn't break the line at home. Like there was no emphasis on the home. The home is almost like stuffed into the middle of the next line.
That's so true. I didn't think about that.
Also the fact there's no rhyme or like no there feels like there's no coherence within each stanza in a way. Yeah, it's
I mean,
just like
you've got the like most home shadow where you've got like the O sound repeated, making them all connected, which kind of gives the suggestion of some coherency. But it's, I don't know, what do you think about I feel like the sound O is a very strange one, because sometimes it's very comforting because it's rounded, but I think it's got a kind of like rhythmic like thump to it here.
I was gonna say, to me, an O sounds a bit like a thud, which is interesting. Like mo, like it's almost like rounding down. You know?
That's like the downwards.
Rounding is like pretty, but rounding down. I don't even know. It's like very figurative, but I feel.
No, I totally agree with you. That's such a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Most home, shad.
Yeah.
Shadow. Yeah, that rhythm's quite interesting in itself then, because it's not regular, but it feels regular. Shadow shouldn't emphasize the O, but it feels like you should emphasize the O because of the most and home.
And I think there's like a suddenness to the as company.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like it. Like it feels kind of unnatural, the sort of like clipped feel of the last line.
It feels like it should end at shadow. It feels like that's very contained. What do you think it's about?
I'm intrigued to see what you think, but for me, this is kind of about like mental health, anxiety, like kind of For me, the stain on my mind, I feel like she's had, I love how I think it's a she. Like, I see it as two ways. Either it's some kind of like trauma, which she's trying to like get through, and that has like stained the rest of her life and the way she views stuff. Or the stain on her mind is like a mental health kind of thing that she has to deal with, that like clouds the way she is able to live her life, which seems like nice at the start, but kind of this more sinister element, I think as you go on you realize it's not actually like the healthiest thing for her, and that she's actually just got a lot of like fear of people, like the flock of birds when touched, like she scatters, you know, and I feel like she's kind of self-conscious because she won't approach until like people's backs are turned, you know, like she doesn't want attention on her. And then I also want to talk about this because I know you mentioned it, but the line, I halve the distance between our bodies.
Isn't that so clever?
So clever, because it's like, yeah, okay, if you just read that line together, it's like she feels almost more comfortable around people, more connected to people when she's like away from them, because it's like halving the distance. But because the emphasis with the line break is on I halve, it's like, to me, that feels like she is almost missing out on like necessary human experience. Like in being alone, she's like halving herself.
And you see that absence, like on the page you see that absence. There is that break where human interaction should be.
But to me, the ending, the dogs are chained, I think that's like her thoughts or something. Like the dogs are chained so they can't like attack her right now because she's inside and safe, whereas like the outside world represents like all the chaos and all the fear and the honeybees swarming. If you think about like just some bees in your neighbor's garden, it's like a very quiet sound, it doesn't really bother you. But the fact their sound is huge and they're swarming, I think just represents like the chaos of the swirling thoughts in her mind, and kind of like that fear, that unknown of going outside.
You saying about the kind of the image of the dogs being chained representing her own thoughts, like being a metaphor for that. The dogs being chained, instantly when dogs are put in connection with chains, you think, oh, the dog must be aggressive. There must be a reason why this dog is chained. But there is nothing actually in relation to the dog to suggest, like apart from the fact it is chained, to suggest that it is dangerous at all. And dogs are domestic, so they're very contained animals. There's kind of more control over dogs than bees. So then having that contrast between the dog, which is very internal, and then the bees, which are outside of any kind of control that she might have, and particularly the fact that it's prefaced with like the back door opens on a garden. Obviously bees flock to gardens. Even before the image of the bees come, you know that like they are on their way, they are going to arrive. So I don't know what the bees are meant to signify, but it's impending. It's something that she can't control.
I love your point about like the dogs being domesticated. I didn't even think of it through that angle. And also when you were saying that, it made me think like, so we assume in this context that like the dogs are aggressive, but I also think of it as like the dogs being chained. It's like the dogs have potential to be aggressive, but the dogs also have potential to just be like, you know, calm, domesticated, contained. And in that way, if that was like a metaphor for her thoughts, I think it's like a good way of showing that she, like her thoughts can sometimes be like good, and when they're contained, she's like happy, they can't attack her. But then they also have this like this aggressive side, which so many people with like mental health struggles do face, is like that binary between your thoughts. Like you don't know when they're contained or when they're not, how it's going to affect you.
Oh, also just to say as well, like the main thing that I got from the poem in terms of like what it was about, what it was saying, I completely agree with you in terms of like mental health, but I didn't get anxiety so much as like a dissociation. She's very separate from the things that she is describing. The fact that she's speaking through metaphors, to me, like suggests that she's distancing herself from the actual problem. But also things like that wonderful line, how human stanza break, I seem like man. You have this moment of thought in that absence, in that like line break, where you can actually hear her thinking about, is she human? Do I fit in this world? Do I fit in this landscape? That's a very detached way of thinking about your own species. That seems more like scientific, like you'd speak about, you know, the modern dolphin. I don't know.
It's really interesting in that one stanza how you have like modern man and like an animal.
Yes,
so it's like, yeah, it's like almost this confusion in like what she is, which I think really does support the whole dissociation idea. Well, actually, kind of coming on to like the nature animal imagery, like why do you think that's been included so much? Do you think that's just to aid the whole speaking in more metaphorical language to distance herself from like her situation? Or
I read the animal imagery, yes, as like in contrast to man, it being, you know, she's not human, so does she fit more with this other world? Where can she find a space in the natural world that she can safely occupy? I mean, she can't find the birds. They scatter when touched. I can't approach them. So where can I fit? Do I fit with the chained dog? Will I fit with the bees? That's how I read it, but I feel like you thought more about nature than I did.
I don't know, this is something I've been thinking about, and I don't fully have like an answer
or like an interpretation that I'm convinced by yet. I think part of it is just like the lack of control in nature, how it's so like untamed. And then I think this is kind of supports your message at the end with like domesticated dog, because like a flock of birds, when she goes near them, it's not the birds who scatter, it's her who scatters. Like a flock of birds when touched, I scatter. Yeah, she feels like she's caught between the two worlds because she doesn't feel fully human, but then she's also not an animal. So it's like, you know, she's almost trying to like test out what her place in this world.
So I love that you can add in comments on the Lark documents, because we can make a note of everything that we have been talking about.
Really, we should just analyse poetry for fun all the time.
I know, let's make this a weekly thing. We'll just like get together and analyse poetry.
Yes.
Oh yeah, also, did you see I added in a video at the bottom?
I was like, this is an interesting thing that Lark has just decided to put onto our
Just casually put our document on. You can add things, so...
That's so cool!
Let's find it. Oh yeah, so webpage YouTube. So I basically just went on Jade's channel and chose this video. Which is very linked apparently to this poem.
Oh my god, you can even add a TikTok, Ruby. Oh my gosh, I don't even...
Oh, you can do a poll as well. Let's see. Did
you do a
like...
poll?
This is so...
That's so cool! You don't have to... Oh, look! I can put a new emoji.
No, oh my gosh, that's so cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so one of the really cool features about Lark is that you can annotate the document that you have with comments and reply to these, which is so perfect for something like poetry analysis, because you can have all of your thoughts really succinct on one page and you can do it collaboratively. Amazing, look at that. Like, how useful would that be if you were going to write an essay? You just go on here and you've got like all the notes in the margin. We love this. I'm gonna like it.
Yeah, and you can like use emojis. You can like rate your
comments.
comments.
Oh my gosh, love that.
Little Korean heart.
We also got curious as to who the poet was, so I shared my screen with Jade and we did a little bit of research into American poets. Oh, she's on Wikipedia. Oh, we should never use Wikipedia, but today we are. Daughter of Jamaican immigrants. It's not very detailed.
I can't see it opens that much more, but...
No, but that's like quite cool to know that she is the daughter of Jamaican immigrants. That could be relevant, I guess.
How do you see it as opening more meaning? I'm intrigued.
I'm not sure. I just, you know the famous poem, is it called The Emigrant?
Yeah.
And there is like the same theme of distance there and like semi-dissociation. So I just wonder if that feeds in at all to the possible feeling of dissociation in this poem. But I don't know if there's any particular image which would link to that at all. Okay, we should now, what are we going to do now, Jade?
We're going to do a study with us. Ruby, what are you going to get up to?
So I am going to draw up an essay plan and I'm going to try and do 2. How about you?
Okay, so I have 2 tasks.
Okay.
One of them is, so I'm learning Korean in my free time because my university degree takes me to Seoul in September, which is really cool. So I need to go over some of my Korean. I'm just going to practice writing it out because I'm trying to practice my Hangul, which is the written language.
Okay.
And then I have an arts and humanities assignment due tomorrow, and I just need to like storyboard some more details for it, kind of like an essay plan.
Okay, cool. Well, let's write it down on like a to-do list. I'm gonna add it to our Lark shared doc. So Jade's to-do list.
Oh,
Basically, if we have these, we can just keep each other accountable because we've got to make sure that we get that work done. We're held accountable now. We've got to get both of these things done. Okay.
Oh, and if you're watching, anyone, write yourself a to-do list of what you're going to do in the next, like, 20 minutes.
Yes, great idea. Also with the poem, let us know down below what you thought about it, because we'd love to hear like how yours was different to ours and what you brought to the poem. So here I'm just quickly setting a timer for 20 minutes because we are going to do a really quick 20-minute study with me. So hopefully you can be productive with us for this next 20 minutes.
Thank you.
It's okay.
Yay. Success.
Okay, timer.
Yay.
Sorry,
How
I'm
did you do?
finishing my sentence.
Oh, I didn't actually tick it off when I did it.
Oh no!
Tick.
There we go, I can tick it off.
Yay! Good job, Ruby.
Yeah, high five, Jade. Woo.
That's so cool. You can insert a due date for the tick thing. That's really cool.
And then we can respond to it.
Supportive.
So, what are your plans for the rest of the day?
I have an assignment due tonight and an assignment due tomorrow. I'm hosting a virtual workshop for 100 people tonight.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's so
University.
stressful. Exciting though, but also quite like
It is
daunting,
exciting,
you know?
but it's like a little bit of stress.
Especially
but...
considering that you got the 2 assignments in.
Yeah. What about you? What are you going to get up to today?
Really not that much. We're actually planning on sorting out the study as a family because it is an absolute state.
Cool. I love that you guys are going to like tackle that together. That's so wholesome.
It's a joint effort. Jade, this has been so nice. We have to do this again.
Yes, I would love to. We need to do some more poetry or even just like studying alongside you. I feel very productive.
Like I loved larking today. Like we should lark more often.
Cool. Okay, thank you for starting off my morning productively, Ruby.
Yes, that was a nice productivity boost that I think I needed.
Thank you, Lark.
Thank you, Lark. Yes, thank you so much for sponsoring this video. Like, how cool is that?
I know. This is like, I think this is my favourite sponsored video concept ever. I just literally get to like call you.
It's crazy. We literally just got to sit here and chat and study. Yeah, watch Jade's video as well if you haven't already.
Oh. Yes, if you want to get to know Ruby more and get to know me more
and see how well we know each other. Okay, well, have a good rest of your day. Good luck with assignments and the virtual workshop.
Send my love to your family.
And send my love to yours.
Thank you.
Bye.